In this video, I'm going to teach you 3 levels of tech house: beginner, pro, and vintage culture. We are going to take a look at the most common beginner mistakes to avoid when you are trying to make a tech house track. And the final result sounds like this. Hi, my name is Vlad and I help music producers to turn their passion of making music into a real business without spending years on figuring things out. Do you want to become a full-time music producer, find your own sound, grow a loyal fan base and start making money with your music? But you are struggling with sound design, with mixing, and you don't know why your tracks just don't sound good as your favorite artist tracks. Are you tired of spending weeks trying to finish your track but it just doesn't work? You don't know why you are not progressing. So if that is the case, if you don't have time but you want to get the results as soon as possible, start making money with your music, just click the link down below, book a time for a strategy call, and I'm going to help you to turn your passion of making music into real business without spending years on figuring things out. And also guys, the registration to my coaching program is officially open. We only have 13 seats left. All the links are down below. No more talking, and let's start with the tutorial. So guys, let's listen to the beginner's version of this tech house track and how it sounds. So if you look at the pro level tracks, you will see that I have the groups for the low end, for the drums, for the vocals, and for the instruments. And I get so mad when I look at people's projects and they don't color their tracks, the groups in the proper way. They have something which looks like that, and that is crazy. That is crazy because when you don't have the colors, it's almost impossible to navigate through the projects. For example, if you have, let's say, something like this, you have, let's say, red, which looks something like this, and let's say orange. And you know that this is, for example, the low end. This is the low. This might be drums. And this might be effects, whatever. So if you have something which looks like this, how are you going to navigate through the project? How are you going to know what elements are these tracks if they are not grouped? You can see that they are not grouped, and here we have the groups, right? This, we know exactly what kind of element is this group. So the next tip, guys, is the wrong sounds. If you listen to the kick, the bass, and the lead, you can hear that this is something. You can hear that it's something wrong with the sounds. And the thing is with the electronic dance music is that we need to get the right sounds from the very beginning. Your track should sound good even before you start mixing. So let's say that this is a puzzle, right? And if it looks something like this, it's really cool. So really cool. Nice. But if you have a puzzle which looks something like let's say something like this, but you have the second puzzle which looks something like this, it's just not gonna work, right? And this is your sounds. If you have wrong sounds that don't work together, it's impossible to make a good sounding track because they are just not gonna work. The next thing, guys, is the low end, especially the timing, the length of the kick, of the bass. Usually beginners, they don't know that much about production, about mixing, so this is why they make this mistake. So if you listen to the kick and to the bass in solo, just the low end, you can hear the rumble. that this is something wrong with the track, but we have the sidechain. But what if I bypass the sidechain. And now guys, let me explain how this thing works. So let's say that this is our kick and this is our bass. So if this is the kick and this is the bass, and you can see that they clash here, they just interfere with each other, and it's not okay. So this thing we need to remove, right? And ideally your kicks and basses should look something like this. You should have the perfect timing. So this is going to be the bass and this is going to be the kick. You see that they don't clash here, right? You can fix this with the sidechain. So for example, if you have a sidechain, so this is going to be the kick and this is going to be the sidechained bass. We've got the free space here, so it's okay. But still, if your kick is too long, it's not gonna work even if you apply some sidechain. So guys, pay attention to the length of the kick and to the length of the bass. So you can either have a long kick like this, the kick, and a short bass, right? Or you can have a longer bass, but you will have a shorter kick. So this is going to be the bass, and this is going to be the kick, right? So you can only have one long element because the other one will need to be short. The next thing, guys, is the gain staging. I think when I've played this track, you've thought that it's something wrong with the track, with the balance. So let me draw a diagram for you guys. So let's say we have the main element, which looks something like this, and we have some additional elements like this, maybe something like this, and maybe something like this. I'm not going to draw it a lot, but this is going to be the main element, right? It can be the vocal, for example, right? And what if this is a good mix, right? So this is going to be a good mix, a good example. It's going to be green. But what if you're going to do something like this? So we have a vocal, and here we have some effects. So the red is going to be effects. We have something like drums, and we have one more orange, which is going to be the bass. And you see that it's unbalanced. It's unbalanced, and the vocal, it doesn't have enough space in the mix, so it's not gonna work. So I'm going to do like that. Not working. So this is what you should do. You should do the proper gain staging. So you can start with the main elements. Usually I start with the kick, the bass, and the vocal. These are the elements that are in the middle, in the center. They are the main driving elements in the mix. So this is why you need to balance your tracks, your mix properly. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try and balance. So for example, the kick. So let's start with the kick. I'm going to make the kick shorter, something like this. The bass, I'm going to decrease in volume. Now let's play with the claps, the hats, the shaker. Yeah, sounds good. The vocal. And the lead sound. So you can really hear that just with the proper gain staging, we made our track sound way more professional and way better for our ears. I think it sounds way better than I've shown you the first version when I've just played it for you. Gain staging is really important, don't forget about that. And the next thing, guys, is the dynamics and the velocity. So if you look at the shaker, for example, you can see that it's just flat. The velocity is flat, and it's going to be a problem when you will try to finish your track and make such a mix. So let's draw some notes and velocity. So I'm going to draw a flat velocity diagram, and it's going to be boring. And one more thing about the velocity, especially when it comes to the low end, if you play the same pattern over and over again, like the same note with the same velocity, it's going to, you're going to feel like a pressure, unpleasant pressure on your ears. And velocity is extremely important when we talk about low end, especially on the bigger systems. So if you play the same note over and over again, you might have some problems with the subwoofer because it only can move to one direction at a time. And if you push too much on the note, it's just not going to work. And it's going to sound boring, it's going to sound bad and unprofessional. So this is boring, you shouldn't do like that. And here is how you should play with the velocity. So some notes are louder, some notes are quieter. So this is good, right? It's really going to depend on the groove, on the track, but really you should be doing something like this with your notes. You see, you have the dynamic range, right? And you have here the dynamics. Here you don't have any dynamics, all of the notes are at the same level. So I've played with the velocity on the shakers, and now let's check how it sounds. So this is with the velocity. And this is without the velocity, just flat. Once again with the velocity and without. So you can really hear that even with the shaker, it's a problem, it's boring, and it just doesn't make sense. And the last beginner's mistake is that usually beginner music producers, they add too much elements and there's just too much stuff going on in the track. In music, I would say less is more, so try to be really minimal and straight to the point. So as you can hear, we have some effects, just a bunch of stuff going on in the lead. And if you have too much elements in your track, it will be almost impossible to mix it so it sounds good. It's hard to arrange, and it's just too much headache if you have too many sounds in your track. So this is an example where you have too many elements in the track, and the black thing here is the mix, right? Or something that needs a lot of space in the mix. It's just not gonna work. So this is bad. This is bad. You shouldn't do like that. And this is an example of a good mix. So you see that we have the central, like the main element, the red one, it's this one, and we have some additional like drums, leads, bass, whatever, and it doesn't take a lot of space. We have fewer elements and it's just easier to work with such tracks. Alright, so let's move to the pro version of the same track, and it sounds like this. It sounds way better than the beginner's version, but there are still some mistakes you can fix for your tracks. And one thing I forgot to mention about the beginner version is the weak sounds. Weak drums, weak basses, weak leads, and Yeah, you get the point. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about in the Pro version of the same track is the group processing. So the first mistake in the Pro version of this track is the lack of group processing. As you can see here, we just have the kick, the bass, and that's it. If you compare it to the Pro version here, just listen to the low end, how it sounds. And the Pro version, yeah, just sounds weak. That's the thing. So with the group processing, what you can really do is you can, let's say you have some notes, the dynamics, and with the group processing, you can make them look something like this. So it's going to be louder. You can also add some more harmonics. So let's say that the black notes are the saturation, and here we have done some compression. So it's gonna look something like this, compression. And you can really shape the sounds in your group with a proper group processing. And without the group processing, it's just gonna sound weak. And you've heard just now the example. If you want to learn how to mix low end like a pro, I'm going to link a video up here, so make sure to go and watch this video as well. And the next thing is, and the next mistake is the drum layering. So if you listen to the drums in this version, it sounds better than the beginner version, but still it's way worse than this drum loop. It's more full, it's more powerful. So when we layer the sounds, so for example, we have something like this, something like this, it's more diverse. We have more variation. So let's say in the red one, we have some nice top end, right? Top plus let's say mid frequencies, and here we have let's say the low end. So if you don't layer your drums, they will sound weak, because here we only have one layer and here we have two layers. We can add even more. We can add something like this. We can add something like this, and every single layer, it will have some character to the sound. So one might add some top end, another might add some stereo width if we're talking about hats, claps, but if you don't do that, it's impossible to achieve powerful drums. The next mistake is a cheesy melody. I mean, it sounds nice, pretty nice, but still it doesn't sound as nice as the Pro track. So if we listen to the melody, it's simpler because less is more, but on the other hand, it sounds way better. So even though we have just one note, it still sounds better than this one. So make sure when you add a melody, it's simple enough so it's interesting for the listener to listen to the melody, but it shouldn't sound cheesy, right? So in this example, it sounds good, but I don't like it that much. The biggest difference between the beginner and the Pro version is the sample selection. Here we have much better drums, the one shots. So let's move to the final version, to the Pro version of this track, and it sounds like this. Yeah, I think it sounds really nice. And let's start with the group processing. So the low end sounds like this. In this example, you can hear that even with one single plugin, we can make the low end way better. So it sounds way more powerful without saturation. So we've added some additional, with the saturation, we've glued our sound together, and we have added some nice additional harmonics. The next thing I want to talk about is the bass layering. We have a lot of different bass sounds. So for example, these two, they sound really nice together. Just the bass. Alright, so the next thing is drums layering. So for example, the claps sounds really nice. So let's compare the claps to the previous version. Sounds really weak. And this is why you should layer your basses, drums, leads, anything. And let's take, for example, the hats. So one cool technique you can do with your hats is, for example, so this is going to be your main hat in the middle, and you will have a hat in your left and in your right ear. So this is going to be the center, this is going to be right, and this is going to be left. So now I'm going to show you how it sounds. So we're going to take the main hat. Now we're going to add the left hat. It sounds like that in solo. The right hat together and with the main hat. So this is what I usually do to my hats to make them wider. And now guys, let's break down the shakers. The shaker loop is very interesting. So basically, I'm doing just the same thing. I'm panning one shaker to the right, one to the left, and one in the middle, in the center. And on its own, sounds like this. So let's listen to this, for example. The right one. The main shaker and the left one. And the left one is not playing the exact same pattern as the right one and the main one. And what is cool about the shakers is that you can layer different sounds. So for example, this can be short, long, short, short, long. And the second shaker can be, for example, short here, long here, short here, long here, and for example, short here. And you might have one additional shaker that is going to play something like this. So it's not repeating the same pattern, right? So this is what I'm doing with my shakers, and that is the whole point of layering your drum sounds, because you can create way more complex grooves and way more interesting and powerful drum loops. And finally guys, the last tip for today is the minimalism. So if you listen to this version, you can feel that it sounds powerful, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of elements that clash with each other. All the elements fit each other really well in the context of the track. So So that was it for today guys. If you liked this video, if you learned something new, make sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that thumbs up button under this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below. And if you want to learn how to consistently turn your ideas into radio quality tracks, grow a loyal fan base, get heard, and change people's lives with your music, all the links are down below. Make sure to register for my coaching program because it's a limited time offer and we only have 13 seats left. And if you still have any questions or you would like to talk to me one-on-one, there's a link down below as well. Book a time for a free strategy call and I'm going to help you to turn your passion of making music into real business without spending years on figuring things out and overthinking. So that was it for today. Thank you very much guys for watching this video and I'll see you guys in the next one.